Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
You are most welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more updates, like and also share to other members to watch as well. You can also leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277 128 777. Please do reach us if you have anything bothering you or if you have anything for us to present or report about. Just hit us on our WhatsApp line and we will be at your doorstep to help you out. Thank you.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. And as earlier advertised, I'm going to have an interesting conversation this morning. It said that if you want to hide something from a black man like me, you put it in a book because we don't like to read. And beyond that, they say that we don't also document our experiences. So there are a lot of us who have rich experiences that should be put together or documented. I mean, first of all, to tell a story and to guide other people and to also let people know what happened. But most of us do not do this. However, there's a man who has documented something that happened over a 5-year, over a 5 to 6 year period, you know, and he has decided to title it From Persecution to Freedom, Reflections on My Journey Through the Justice System in Ghana. Okay, but just to know how this man caught my attention and how I got to know about him without getting to know him personally. And today is the first time that I'm getting to see him physically, But this is what caught my attention. And I've been playing this video the last 8 years or so. I mean, long before the persecution to freedom occurred. Just to remind you, let's watch this.
Now, this is the composition of the police council in Ghana. The vice president is a party man. It doesn't matter whether it's MPP or NDC. This is what we have given us, and this is what we work with. Now, a minister responsible for internal affairs, who is he? He's a party man. Then you have Inspector General of Police appointed by the president. The president can dismiss him at any point in time, and therefore his loyalty is partial. It doesn't matter whether he was appointed by MPP or NDC, his loyalty is divided. Because he can be appointed today and dismissed tomorrow. And the worst scenario is when he is appointed to be acting capacity. It means I'm watching you. That is what it means. Now, the Attorney General is a party man. Then you have a lawyer nominated, that one, a representative of police, very well. 2 members of the police service appointed by the president. So who is that? Those people. One they are appointed by the president. You know where they are coming from. Then 2 other members appointed by the president. So the whole composition of the police council is the president. And it's the party. Why will you give us this and think that we should be professional? You cannot. There's no way you can have a professional police service. It is party politics. And that is why we have become a chess in the hands of the government. Whether it's MPP or NDC, we are chess in their hands. And they are playing political games. That is why no party in opposition can trust the government, can trust the police. Because of what you do with us. And so once you move into opposition, you are scared that the same thing you do with us, the other party will do with us. So there is a need for constitutional amendment. And I propose that if we really want a long-term solution to this vigilante, one major thing is that the president must be appointed for a fixed. The IGP must be appointed for a fixed term with approval of Parliament to exercise independent control. There's a need for an independent police service commission to replace the current police council. And grounds upon which an IGP can be removed should be spelled out so that the IGP's removal from office cannot be based on the whims and caprices of appointing authority. That the Minister of Interior can only give directives to the IGP in writing on matters of policy, but not as to how the IGP must do his work. This will make the police loyal to the Constitution instead of particular governments.
So this is what caught my attention, and this is how I got to know about a police officer called ACP Dr. Benjamin Agordzo. And we kept playing this every morning, even without getting in touch with him and speaking to him on this issue. And remember the COP Kofi Boakye tape that we used to play as well, where he also referenced ACP Dr. Agordzo with respect to the structure of the police and all that. Well, little did we know that he was going to go through what he calls a persecution for 5 years. And now he has freedom. ACP retired Dr. Benjamin Agordzo. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Dr. Randy. This is a dream come true.
Really?
Yes, I've always watched. In fact, if ever if I did not watch Good Morning Ghana on Metro, then you know that I had something so very important that will not make me sit down and watch. I always watch you. And I'm thankful to Metro and to you in particular for playing that video that you did right now, because I believe that it's made a lot of positive impact in shaping the opinion of people about me. People kept asking, do you know Randy? I said no, and they really doubt it. They wonder how somebody could be playing my tape and I continue to say I don't know the person from anywhere. So I'm so thankful to you and to Metro.
All right, so we'll get back to that tape.
Yes, definitely.
And I was just looking for a newspaper, and I was just trying to give you some information that at the time that you made this, at the height of the vigilante issues, the data said we had 27 vigilante groups. Today, we are told by the security experts that we now have 72. For those who do the lottery, it's a turning number, 2772. So at the time you made the statement, there were 27 vigilante groups. We are told today they are now 72. But we'll come and deal with that issue at the tail end, the structure of the police service and all that. And now, based on your experience and you being aware and all that, you perhaps even have a much better appreciation of the issues. But let's start off with you. You know a question that most journalists will start with. Who is ACP retired? And I hope that I am getting it right. It should be ACP retired Dr. Benjamin Agordzo. Is that correct? Yes. Or Dr. ACP retired?
No, ACP Doctor.
So the
ACP retired.
The ACP retired comes first.
Yes.
Before
Doctor.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just want to know a little about your background, where you were born, where you grew up, education, family. Yeah.
Doc, I was born in Sunyani.
Okay.
And my mother and father are late now. I kept telling people that I even learned how to speak Twi before I knew how to speak my own dialect, Iri. We lived in Sunyani until I was about 14 years or 15. Then my father, who was on retirement then.
Was he a public servant?
Yes, he was working at the military barracks in Sunyani then. Okay. And then we moved to Vakpo, where I continued my education at Vakpo Secondary School, then to Pando Secondary School.
Oh.
I know, by mentioning Pando will make you excited.
Yes. I was at the Kwasek 60th anniversary.
All right, so to Pando Secondary School, under the headmaster, Mr. Ahedo, a very strong disciplinarian. And then from there to the police service.
Oh.
And then continued to University of Cape Coast. Then to do my master's in Norway.
So you you joined the police service after sixth form?
Yes, after sixth form.
After sixth form.
Sixth
So you did your first degree whilst you were in the police service?
Yes, absolutely, yes. But let me come in here.
Yes.
Briefly, after my sixth form in national service, I went to the University of Cape Coast, briefly for about 2 months or less. Then we had that long strike of about 4 years strike and other things, or is it 1 year, something like that. And so within that period, 3 months into the strike, I enlisted in the police service, so I didn't go back.
Okay.
It will be interesting to know some of my lecturers at the time, but I won't mention it here for good reasons, so that people will begin to attribute certain things to it. Because then I was reading English literature and some other stuff. So
Professor Nana Jane Opoku.
Absolutely, she was my teacher then.
She was then doctor.
She was then doctor. Yes, she had returned from Canada with her husband, and we were one of the first people privileged to be taught by her. Yes. So when I enlisted in the police service, I had one purpose: to continue to upgrade myself, and that's exactly what I did whilst in the service.
So you were a barracks boy?
No, I wasn't a barrack. My father wasn't a soldier. No, he was just a civilian, and we never lived in the barracks. We never lived in the barracks. Right. So after 3 years in the police service, I got steady leave into University of Cape Coast. Finishing, then I got a scholarship after that to Norway to read my MPhil. And then soon after that, I worked for a while and I got another scholarship to do a PhD.
Whilst you were still in the police service?
Whilst I was still in the police service. To do another.
Which year was this?
That was in 2008.
Okay.
Interestingly, at that time, maybe you get to know along the line that at that time I had my first challenge with the police service.
In 2008? In
2008, where I was removed from the police service for refusing to take what I term an unlawful order from a senior police officer.
Which was that?
Doc, these are part of the things in the book.
Okay.
And I don't want to get into them, but that was the first problem I had with the police service, where a regional commander orders me to do a particular thing that I found to be very unlawful. And when I refused it, everybody ganged up against me. The system in the police service ganged up against me and dismissed me.
In 2008?
In 2008.
Okay. Interestingly,
within that period, 2 months to 3 months into that time, I got a scholarship to do a PhD. And whilst I was going there, proceeding to Italy to do my PhD, I also appealed against that ruling by the police council. And then the police council, before I completed, they had then reduced that dismissal to a reduction in rank from superintendent to a DSP. And then, so by the time I returned, I was a DSP. And that's how I've been in this service. And then I rose to the current rank of Assistant Commissioner in 2017. And then 2019, another thing struck me. And that's what I will say about myself for now.
Okay, all right. So what happened in 2019?
2019, I had just returned from Haiti, where I was on appointment at the UN. And just before I returned, maybe a Thursday before, and I think that was about the 30th of October, thereabout, or 31st, thereabout, 31st October 2019, the then IGP, Mr. Pombuenu, called to ask where I was, and when I responded, he asked me to meet him in his office. Then he told me the BNI wanted to meet me. I said, well, I had not then officially reported to the police after my Haiti experience, so I could only do that Monday because I had a funeral. So that Monday, I reported in my full uniform and then with the UN regalia and other things. And he called and asked me to ask an assistant commissioner of police to accompany me to BNI then, and that's how everything changed.
So when you got to the BNI, what happened?
The BNI informed me then that they found my name on a WhatsApp group called Take Action Ghana. I went there with my lawyers, and I would like to put it on record that of all the 10 people who were involved in this case, I was the only person who had my lawyers present during the interrogation.
Okay.
The BNI will do everything to exclude your lawyers from interrogation room. And they tried to exclude my lawyers, but I insisted that I could not leave my lawyers until they had decided to detain me. And that was how come I got my lawyers into it. And before I continue, it is interesting to note that although the BNI would deny the presence of your lawyers during the interrogation, it is the outcome of this so-called interrogation that they will use against you in court. So for the 9 other people, they will say they confessed during interrogation. And yet, during all this confession, there was no other person but the BNI people. So in my case, they found it very difficult to tell me I confessed to one thing or the other. So going back to the issue, they accused me of being on that platform, and that on that platform there were discussions on a plot to overthrow the government. I explained to them that there was nothing like that during my presence on that platform. They would not take it. I proved to them that, and I even dared them during that interrogation that, look, show me evidence that whilst I was on that platform, this discussion took place. But they were not able to provide anything. And yet, they decided to detain me. So right from the beginning, I knew it was witch hunting, and I knew I was in for persecution. Because they had nothing to prove, and yet they decided to detain me. And that was why, right from the beginning, I was unperturbed. I knew from the beginning that there was no way they were going to get any evidence against me, because there was nothing. If I may just jump ahead, you come to observe that even though on the same platform, Take Action Ghana, there were lawyers, there were engineers, there were professors there, I was the only person singled out to be prosecuted. Interesting. I was the only person singled out to be prosecuted, and none other person was prosecuted apart from me. And yet, most of the people I've mentioned, professors and lawyers, some of whom are listening to me now, also paid monies, sometimes some of them even in dollars, to support Dr. McPalm's, late Dr. McPalm's medical outreach program. But I was accused of paying $2,000, and yet others paid even dollars. And I can mention names, except that I will not do them. If you read my book, you'll find evidence of how people paid so much, and yet they were left out. And that is evidence of the fact that I was in for persecution.
So thank you very much. You said this is the very first copy.
This is the very
that
first copy to you.
And I'm privileged. It's autographed too by you. I'm very privileged. So this is a 520-page,
yes,
28-chapter book.
Yes.
At which point in time did you decide to document this?
When I realized that my detention was imminent, I psyched myself and decided that I was going to use it as an opportunity to write my first book. I began to do keen observation of all the processes and procedures and the actions and inactions of the police, of the BNI, of the committal proceedings at Kaneshi Court, of the Attorney General's actions and inactions, their attempts to compromise people, including judges, whether it worked or not. But I've detailed a number of attempts that were made by the Attorney General's office to compromise the judges. And anybody who wants to know should go ahead and read the book. And I've explained copiously why there were attempts to compromise the judges. And also some of the actions of the courts itself, which I term judicial biases towards the accused persons. I've detailed all that for everybody to learn from.
So my question was, at which point did you decide to document? When you realized that
my detention was imminent, and then I started writing as soon as I left the BNI custody.
How long were you there?
1 week. From Monday to Friday, I left the BNI custody.
To where?
To the ministry's police station.
Okay.
Now, remember that there is a world of difference between detention at the BNI and then detention at the police.
What's the difference?
The difference is that at the police, much as you may not like certain things that may happen to you at the police station, there are certain positive aspects. For instance, the police will always provide you, and that's why sometimes when I listen to some of the things that happen to Democracy Hub, I'm surprised. Because that is not what we do. But at the end of the day, they will give you access to, even if not your own phone, the police phone to use to call your relatives, to interact with them. In the presence, oh yes. When I was there, not only me, I can testify to the fact that Dr. McPalm was giving phone to talk to his family. His family visited him. But these things, you cannot get them at the BNI. Okay. We have even, my first news file that I watched, that was the first news file after my arrest. I think it was the Saturday after the 4th November. I was in BNI police custody when I watched it, because you have TV there, and there's radio, and you can just listen to some of the current things that are happening. And you could meet your family, and they could visit you. They could bring you food, except that the police will make sure that the food does not contain anything untoward, and they will make you eat part of the food. These are all procedures that are documented in the police station. And so for police, you can give this to them. At the BNI, you don't have access to these ones. And sometimes for your family to see you, it's terrible. When they see you once, it is difficult for them to see you again. And they have to fight, and I mean in quotes, fight in order to get you.
So you say that you started writing at the ministry's police station?
I started documenting things. Anytime I had time and I had access to any paper, I scribbled something. Okay. And I continued, and I continued. By the time I was sent to the IGP's custody, which was like more or less a house arrest, I had the time.
Explain that. IGP custody, what does it mean? Now, there's a cell at the IGP's office.
Now, at a point in time, I complained about the reason for moving to ministry's police station was that I complained about the manner, the ill treatment, the fact that they will not allow you to receive visitors, the fact that they will not allow you access to your family and also to speak to your family, and a number of things at the BNI. So I complained to the through my lawyers to the magistrate at the district court. So the magistrate court decided to remand me to the police custody or IGP's custody. At that time, the colonel amongst us was also detained at the military facility. Okay. And therefore, it was easier for us to argue that, well, just like the colonel, I should also be detained at a police facility. That's how come I moved into a police facility. But before then, the police facility wasn't ready. So I was sent to the ministry's police station, and within 3 weeks or so, the facility was ready.
So when is a police facility, what does it mean? A house?
A kind of apartment where they will keep you under guard. Okay. You don't have the freedom to move out, but you have the freedom to move around within your apartment. And there's always a police guard there. Nobody can come in unless you permit it, permit the person. Your family could visit you and go back, etc., etc. That's what I mean.
Here in Accra?
Here in Accra. Okay. It didn't exist until my case. Okay. It didn't exist. If it existed many years ago...
Was it because of your rank?
Because there was a precedence with the military. Okay. Maybe we also appealed And once the order was given by the judge at the time, the police had to do that.
There was an incident that also occurred during your trial. Your insistence on wearing your uniform and the decision that you should not appear in court in your uniform. What was that about?
I love this question so much, and I get a bit emotional when I'm talking about it. Doc, I was arrested in my uniform. In fact, I was interrogated in my uniform together with the UN beret. When they decided to detain me, I was in uniform. They stripped my uniform. They stripped me of my uniform and kept the uniform. That was on Monday.
When is that they strip you? What do you mean?
What I mean
they
is
made you
that
take it off.
They made me take it off and gave me some underwear, which was something. I don't want to go there now. And so I was almost half naked, and then I was placed in custody for 3 days. That was Monday, Tuesday. Then Wednesday morning, I woke up and I was informed, prepare for court. I wore that same underwear, went to the reception there, and the only uniform or dress available was the uniform. Now remember, the BNI were not professional enough to take me to my house to change my uniform. That was their responsibility. Or they did not ask my wife to bring me clothes. So when they asked me to dress up, I dressed up in the uniform and the beret.
Because those were the only clothes you had. Okay.
Exactly. In their full glare. They watched me board the vehicle. They sat by me, sent me to court. And then when I returned from court, they now accused me of wearing uniform to court. That was what happened. But you see, that's one of the interesting things about our criminal justice system. You are unable to speak. And therefore, all the noise, and I'm using that word, noise, by the Attorney General's department, including their officials, that I intentionally decided to wear that uniform, they told me not to wear it. Those are the fabrications of the Attorney General's office. And I've mentioned names that are associated with it. You see, so you are prosecuted and you cannot speak until maybe 3 or 4 years into the case before you are called upon to open your defense. And yet all this while, propaganda by the Attorney General is going on. And you have no mouth to speak.
So you were in the IGP's custody,
Yes,
the
please.
apartment?
Yes.
With police guard and everything?
Yes.
So you couldn't go out?
I couldn't
but
go
your
out.
family could visit you?
My family could visit me and leave.
Okay, and that's when you continued
That
writing?
was when I wrote a lot. By the time I left the IGP's custody, I was arrested in November.
November of 2019?
November of 2019. And then I was released on 24th of January 2020. So within this period, I had written over 100 pages.
100 pages?
Yes, because within that period, a lot of things happened. So, and I had my memory right within the period. So I was documenting everything, looking back and recollecting everything. And so, like I said, by the time judgment was given, I had written 26 out of the 29 chapters. And even the 29th and the that was 27th,
28,
and then 24th chapter, I had even done the framework, only waiting for the judgment, which I knew was going to be much ado about nothing, and therefore that's the title for it. And then also whether there was coup or it was something that was orchestrated.
Okay. So you were in custody from November of 2019 to January of 2020.
2020.
Okay. And so you were released in January 2020?
Yes, please.
To go home?
To go home. I was released on self-recognizance bail, and that's another chapter.
Why did it take that long?
It will interest you that I stand to be corrected because I'm on national TV, but I stand to be corrected. I am arguably the first person ever accused of high treason and then granted self-recognizance bail. And that tells you a story, because after the judge listened to us, all the filings and everything, and then that of the Attorney General, you realize that, in my opinion, these people do not have a case against this person, but he had no authority to release me except to say, okay, I can admit him to bail. And that even angered them the more. When you read the story of the reaction of the Attorney General's office, and I know that was the reason why they eventually decided to punish me for it and went in for nolle prosequi to arrest me again.
When did this happen?
That was around, was it March, April 2021?
When you were on bail?
When I was on bail. To arrest me again in order to grant me bail with sureties to be justified.
Oh.
Okay. So unknown to people, I could read into it and say that this was the reason why they did that. Because you see, the bail condition for the self-recognizance was that I should report to the police for 3 months, police and BNI for 3 months, and then to the BNI for another 3 months. And after that, it meant I was not going to report to any of them again, but to go to court and come back. And I saw Attorney General very uncomfortable with that condition. And yet it should have indicated to them that this person you cannot jail because you have no case against them. But they continued what they wanted to do.
Okay. So you were rearrested?
Yes.
And were fresh charges or new charges leveled against you?
Interestingly, let me put it this way. In law, I'm not a lawyer, but I've come very far, so I understand it. When there is a nolle prosequi, you cannot question the Attorney General for it.
Yes.
He decides, and you cannot question him. But in law, it implies a lot of things. It implies that maybe there is no evidence, so the people will be left to go, or there is a new evidence, and for which reason they could be rearrested or something. Now, in our case, we were facing treason felony, which was a lower crime than the one that we were subsequently slapped with, which was high treason. After the nolle prosequi, we were slapped with high treason. But when we went to court, the interesting thing was this. Attorney General told the court and all of us that he had no fresh evidence, although he has escalated the charge to the highest crime on the land. He had no evidence. The charge sheet was the same. The charge sheet only changed. The facts of the case remained the same. No new disclosures. And when the judge asked him to give us new disclosures, he said, no, there was no need for new disclosure. We were going to depend on the same piece of fact. And that tells you that it was meant to frustrate us, and it was a pure persecution. Another interesting thing about our nolle prosequi, we were never informed, we were never given any notification. Under normal circumstances, when you have a nolle prosequi, it may happen in the court, or you could notify the people. We were never notified. We were only asked to write a new statement. And when we refused to write, they sent that to court and then gave us a new charge. And even after the new charge, we did not have that nolle prosequi until our lawyers had to apply for it. So that was also another abuse of the procedures in court. So throughout our trial, those were some of the things. I'm not a lawyer, but many lawyers listening to me appreciate the fact that when you have a nolle prosequi, we should be notified. Whether in court or outside court, we should be notified. And when you decide to escalate charges against your accused persons, at least in court, you have to do new disclosures, and that's what it implies. Or you have no business doing that at all. Otherwise, we have the right to also read meanings into whatever you say.
All right. So the new charges, or the new charge was preferred, moving from treason felony to high treason.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how come this matter dragged for that long, almost 3 years?
Let me say that the matter dragged generally for almost 5 years, because at first we had to go through the committal proceedings, which they intentionally delayed, because they will always tell you, oh, we are investigating. And yet, I can tell you, for example, that after collecting statement from me, I was never sent to my house to be searched.
Really?
Oh yes, till today. There is nothing about search, although I had been accused of abetting a high treason or treason felony at the time, and they even made noise about me supporting financially the coup makers, the alleged coup makers, and other times. They had not even gone to my bank to find out how much I even have.
The only thing was your statement.
The only thing was my statement.
Your house was not searched, nothing.
Nothing. Not even my bank account frozen or anything. Nothing. And that tells you a story. And so when I arrived from persecution to freedom, I know exactly what I'm talking about. So they didn't do any of those things. They were just intentionally delaying it. Now, in my opinion, and I have led evidence to that effect, that they intentionally delayed this whole process in order that by the time judgment was given, I had gone on retirement.
So when this happened, you were ACP.
I was ACP.
You had returned from Haiti.
Yes,
a
please.
UN assignment.
Yes, please.
Okay. You were 55 years old.
Yes, about that.
At the time?
About that.
About 55?
Yes.
Okay. So you had 5 years to retire from the service.
Yes, please.
You were ACP.
Yes.
Okay. And so when you were arrested, yes, you were detained, and you were put on trial, what did the police service do?
Let me first of all commend the police service for their initial, particularly the Inspector General of Police then, Mr. Pombuenu. He actually distanced himself not by words, but by his actions. I could see that. Because first, he was not aware of all this. He wasn't informed, he wasn't briefed about my detention and the reasons for my detention. And therefore, for him, he has to agree, maybe, and succumb to a process which was more or less political. My trial was a political issue, and therefore, because it was initiated from Defense Intelligence, and then to BNI, and national security eventually took up, and therefore what would an IGP do? And maybe we'll come up to this. The IGP could not say no. Give me reasons why you must detain this person. And I've written copious about that. I don't know whether you have ever heard a senior BNI officer detained in police custody. You won't see that. But you see police officers, senior officers being detained in BNI custody, and all kinds of. So at the end of the day, the IGP and all those people did very well by providing me with this IGP custody, which they prepared within a short period in order to house me. I commend them for it, because it was not existing before that time. And aside that, I would say that there was little they could do.
What happened to your employment?
My employment? I was interdicted immediately.
Okay.
And that, you know,
which is procedural.
Which was procedural.
Okay.
But the only abnormal thing about that procedure was that, according to the constitutional instrument, CI 76, if you are interdicted, and within 3 months, the police are unable to take any internal disciplinary measures against you, that interdiction must be revoked. Now, so in my case, they were supposed to revoke that interdiction after 3 months. They failed to do it. The curious thing is that I appealed to the court, and the court was unable to do it for very strange reasons. The judge then, and I've explained that here, that the matters in which I was involved were unique, and therefore he was unable to grant it. In other words, the judge was using matters that were not before him as a basis for refusing bail. Conditions for giving bail are clear in the law. And therefore, I found it very strange how a judge could go out of the law and then import other reasons for not giving me the bail, when it was clear that the police had violated and breached. And he himself came to the conclusion that I deserved it, except that he was unable to do it. He exercised his discretion, but I think that we need bolder judges in Ghana.
So the case lingered on.
Yes.
Your interdiction stayed.
Yes.
Until you reached the retirement age of 60.
Yes, absolutely.
And then it was after you had attained 60 that you were declared innocent.
Absolutely. I attained 60 in November 2023.
Okay.
Then 2 months after, judgment
was given.
Remember, they have access to all your documents.
Yes.
Now, some of my crucial visas expired by 6. One crucial one, I don't want to mention it on there, expired on the 16th of January.
2024.
2024, and then judgment was on 24th of January 2024. So they ensured that everything of mine expired, including my work and my visas expired before the judgment. I do not know whether it was it was intentional, it was managed, it was orchestrated, but it was strange to me. It couldn't have been coincidence.
So what did the judge say on that day?
For me, whatever the judge said that day, there was nothing new.
What did he say?
At the end of the day, he came out with conclusions, including the fact that I was not on the platform where the said coup plot discussions were allegedly made. And that the 2,000 that I had given, there was no evidence that it was meant to support any coup d'etat, amongst others. Now, the strange thing is this. These evidence were all available in the first place.
So my question to you was that, and it took 5 years.
It took 5 years
for this to be established.
For this to be established. Meanwhile, this was already established, and that was why I found it very strange when the judge called upon me to open my defense. I think it was a complete miscarriage of justice when I was called upon to. Maybe they had other reasons.
You filed a submission of no case.
Found a submission of no case. Okay. We also did all the cross-examination. And out of the cross-examination, when you read this book, you come to find out that the prosecution witnesses succumbed to the fact that I wasn't part of that platform. They succumbed to the fact that the 2,000 was not meant for, and also the fact that my reference to Arab Spring and other things were not related to anything on any coup d'etat. And I had explained all these things, and then they came out. So the judges, if they were ready to do fidelity to the law, should not have called me to open my defense. But they did, which was very strange, and I believe that whatever they said on the judgment day did not amuse me at all, because they were all out there. They were all out there.
So 5 years of your employment had been virtually wasted. I'm sure that in those 5 years, maybe you could have had some promotions and others.
Remember, I was Assistant Commissioner of Police in 2017.
Yes.
And in police service, Assistant Commissioner of Police, I've seen people who have moved from Assistant Commissioner of Police to Commissioner in 2 years. And so
naturally, from ACP, you go to a DCOP.
DCOP.
And from DCOP to COP.
To COP.
Okay.
And therefore, even my 2017 mates, most of them had been promoted to the DCOP.
Okay.
And therefore, I didn't have to even mention it. It was a matter of course that the police council, and if the IGP was minded and was fair to his conscience, should have worked with the police council to say, look, this guy needs full restoration. And so if you gave me all my arrears due me from 2017 to 2024 until my retirement, then it also meant that my promotion that were due should have been given me.
Especially when you were declared innocent.
Very much. And that meant that I had done nothing wrong, and that I had a clean record. And so I shouldn't have been simply applying and then they will be silent on it.
So you have written?
I have written to the police council. I have copied the Inspector General of Police. And yet, for more
When
than...
did you do this?
Oh, almost 6 months now.
Okay.
And I've not heard from them.
No response?
No response
no
at all.
Acknowledgement
no
of receipts?
acknowledgement.
Yeah.
No acknowledgement. And therefore, I've also decided not to file anything for my retirement benefit because for me, you see, that's one of the principles I hold dear to myself. I know that you get your rights not by sitting down and folding your arms. You have to work for it. And therefore, I will fight for that promotion. And until I get it, I'm never going to apply for my retirement benefits. Even if it means inflation catching up with the money or other things, I'm ready to suffer that. But I just want it to be on record that I left the police service not as an assistant commissioner of police, but as a deputy commissioner of police, or even as a commissioner of police, because nothing stops them from giving me a commissioner of police, even within at this time.
Okay. So this book.
Yes, please.
That you've put together, 520 pages,
Yes.
28 chapters. What do you expect this book to contribute? Is it just to tell your story?
If it was just meant to tell my story, I don't think there would have been much use for it. But it's also meant to sensitize members of the public about what to expect when they are invited to the BNI, is to sensitize our lawyers, the kind of miscarriage of justice they do when they fail to accompany their clients to the BNI, because it affects the whole process of in the courts. It also meant to sensitize the public about some of the procedures, some of the weird procedures and processes that the BNI is likely to take you through, and the fact that you must be very diligent and very careful if you are dealing with them. Otherwise, even though you may be innocent, you could be imprisoned. Upon all your innocence, you could be imprisoned. Some of the things that people should know. And also to tell one story. For the world to know whether this coup plot, the so-called coup plot, was real or was an orchestration by certain people in authority to make themselves relevant. And if you want to know what I mean, find out where all the prosecution witnesses are by now.
Where they are.
Where they are. And I'm not going to say anything about it.
So what about your experiences with the prosecution by the AG's department and the judiciary itself?
As for AG,
what will we find? What will we learn?
AG's department, they are good at concocting stories. One of the things you will find in this book is how they try to tell, excuse me for my language, one lie after the another. They'll concoct a story, they'll come up with theory and concoct a story. If it doesn't work, they go out for another story and concoct. And I've given evidence in this book where they have told a lot of lies. They will, for one example is this. They said that I knew Colonel Gameli, and that together with Colonel Gameli and I had discussed this coup plot with late Dr. McPalm, when they had no evidence to that effect. I like them, the public, to also know that they must be careful when they are dealing with the kind of disclosures that are made in court, because they are likely to say things that are not part of the disclosures, and yet they are likely to use it against you. Now, in the courts, we know that the courts are there to give us justice, right? But I can say in all certainty that you don't expect justice all the time in the courts. If you are always there to expect justice, and don't expect justice folding your arms, I have come out of this by the grace of God, by my personal experiences, which I use as an investigator to guide my lawyers, and the excellent work that my lawyers did, and the commitment to my cause. They believed in me, And therefore, they were ready to do anything, sacrificing for me.
Who were your lawyers?
Mr. Martin Kpebu.
Yes.
And all his friends. I don't want to call out any other names, but all the lawyers in his chambers played a role. They represented Martin Kpebu at one time or the other. Particularly Komivi Jochi, who was there almost all the time, and others who were also there. Hamdia, I'll mention, because he was present when I was interrogated for almost 6 to 7 hours. All these people did fantastic work. So the courts, you must open your eyes because you may not always get justice. And there are many times that the courts may also show some biases, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And also watch out for instances where the Attorney General's Department will do something, but either by their action or inaction, to compromise the judges. Whether they succeed in compromising them or not is another issue.
They say there's a chapter for that in your book.
The chapter is titled Injustice in the Justice System.
Okay.
And that's specifically chapter 25.
Okay. Injustice in the justice system.
Injustice in the justice system.
Okay. So 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Today. Christ the King. Parish Hall, opposite the Jubilee House. 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
7:30. And the chairperson is Togbe Dr. Nyaho Tamaklu.
Oh, okay.
And the MC is Kafuide.
Okay.
Now, the interesting thing about Dr. Nyaho Tamaklu is this. When I made my first comment on another platform about civil uprising, for which a minister of state took me on and threatened me, it was in relation to something that Dr. Nyaho Tamaklu was alleged to have said in 2018 or there.
The Minister of State threatened you?
Oh, yes.
Publicly or privately on your phone?
Not on my phone, on a WhatsApp, a group WhatsApp platform. And I have it. It's there. You will see
it. So is it in your book?
It's in my book.
Okay.
And the name of the minister is in my book. I've mentioned it, but I wouldn't want to be mentioning his name. So read the book and the circumstances under which he threatened me.
Okay.
Interesting in that book is also the circumstances under which the Attorney General Godfrey Dami unintentionally or maybe unconsciously confessed before me and my lawyer Martin Kpebu that I was not part of this case. They only added my name.
He said that?
He said that in my presence. So the circumstances under which he said it, you'll find it in this book.
I see. That's interesting. So there are many reasons why you should be at the Christ the King Parish Hall today, 4 p.m. That's 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. For the launch of this book, From Persecution to Freedom, Reflections on My Journey Through the Justice System in Ghana. 520 pages, 28 chapters. And that's the contribution of ACP retired Dr. Benjamin K. Agordzo. Now, I find something curious. In this book, you decide not to use any of your titles. Not your police title, not your academic title. Any particular reason?
You mean the chapter,
the book, yes. So I look at it and I don't see. It's just Benjamin K. Agordzo.
Well, that's my real name. That's first thing. That's my real name. Other ones, you could call me Ben. You could call me Kwesi. You could call me Nathan.
You're Kwesi like me.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is it. I think that I could do without it. And I'm yet to see a book where people write titles.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to read about me, it's at the back here.
Okay.
You could find out more.
So what are you doing? What are you doing with yourself?
For now, I do some teachings at certain universities at the graduate level. I don't need to mention them. At least I have 2 appointments in public universities where I teach. Yeah. Currently, I'm teaching governance and leadership in one of the universities.
How's your family holding up? How's your family in all of this? Your wife, children? You have children, right?
Oh, yeah, 5 of them. And they are all big.
They're
adults. They are not children.
Okay.
And they are doing very well. They are proud of their father, although the journey wasn't an easy one. But by the grace of God, he'd been prepared for it somehow, because I told you how I was removed from the police service years back. So they are used to their father. They know their father is so principled, and if he has to stand for something, he will. And therefore, that's not a big deal at all.
How about your sweetheart, Adam?
Oh, she's doing very well. She's doing very well.
How did she take all this? How supportive was she?
Let me say that she was really supportive. And there was a time I said something that, look, men should learn to take care of their wives. Because unknown to you, you will not always be on the hill all the time. You may find yourself in the valley. And if you don't take care of her and add value to her, for her to reach certain level where she could stand in the gap, when you find yourself in the valley, it will be very difficult. She's been very supportive, and I'm proud of her. And the children, they've been very supportive too. Most of them are working, and they are on their own. And so, strong.
Okay, so ACP retired. I hope that sooner I'll have to take out the ACP and use a COP.
Definitely.
Retired Dr. Benjamin Agordzo. But it's been interesting speaking with you, and I will be around at 4 p.m. today to support you.
Thank you so
my
much.
crew will be there as well. But thank you especially for documenting this, for all of us to really find out the facts about the issue, and also to guide us moving on. And we thank God for your life. We thank God. I'd have to bring you another time for us to speak about the police service, especially the structure.
Maybe the details now.
Yes.
Because there are certain details. I say that this book is not for the faint-hearted, because there are things you read and you wonder, wow, did this really happen? Then
what?
Are you sure?
Like what?
Certain things that happen, particularly in the courtroom. You will be amazed.
Really?
You will be amazed.
And all of this?
All of them are documented. And that's why I say it's not for the faint-hearted. You read some things and people will want to... I don't think they have even they wouldn't even have the guts to say it didn't happen, because all the lawyers who were present in the court, there is one lawyer who was ready to stand and say, mention my name in this book and say that this is what I said to support this description you are giving about proceedings in the courtroom.
Okay. So this is a no-holds-barred book.
No. I mean,
you didn't redact anything.
No. Everything happened live.
Like they say, if you went to Sebi.
Man, to Sebi, yeah. You see, the fact remains that, you see, people are interested in, people were arrested for attempted coup, and then some of them have been imprisoned. No, I am interested in, between the two events, what really happened. That's what is hidden to the public. So the public should not say, Ben is acquitted, and that's all. The things I went through, and the things others went through, and the fact that if these people had the resources, those even who are convicted, if they had the resources and the experience and the expertise that I had, the story would have been different.
Right.
You need to read this book to find out.
All right. So, ACP retired Dr. Agordzo, thanks for being here. Like I said, we thank God for your life. And I'll have you here again. We'll speak about the restructuring of the police service and all that. But thank you so very much.
Thank you too.
And I wish you the very best today and beyond. As far as this, the launch of this book is concerned. So 4 p.m. today, Christ the King Parish Hall is the launch of this book, From Persecution to Freedom, Reflections on My Journey Through the Justice System in Ghana. So please be there, and I'm sure that the book will be on sale after today.
Oh, yes,
so we'll be able to tell you where you can find
over there.
Yes.
Soon after the auction.
So it'll be on sale at the event, and then after the event, we'll let you know where you can get this book to buy. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Once again, and thank you for watching. Up next, Metro Sports.
Thank you for watching PENDREAM TV. We really appreciate your time. Please, if you have not yet subscribed as a new member, please do so, because this is the best place to receive or hear any current news about politics. If you have not done that, please do so. Turn the notification bell to all posts so that you'll be the first to receive any latest update that will hit on the platform. Please do so, because we have more in store coming your way. Thank you.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. to my best of knowledge, without any biases. PENDREAM TV.